When amateur photographer and Reverend of Newby Church in North Yorkshire, Reverend Lord, decided to photograph the interior of his church, he never thought he would capture such a menacing figure. This well-known image has received a lot of attention in the years following 1963. Most speculation has concluded that the cloaked apparition resembles a 16th century monk. Others point out that, with a white shroud over his face, the figure may be a spirit of a leper who was trying to conceal his disfigurement. By examining the furniture shown in the picture, the haunting spectre would have measured 9 feet tall. Although the photograph has received criticism, many have sought to prove its authenticity. In the 1970s, a team from the BBC examined the photo, concluding that it was not the result of a double exposure, as the negative had not been tampered with. Mrs. Andrews often visited the grave of her daughter in Queensland, Australia. In 1946, she photographed the headstone. After developing it, she was shocked to find an infant in the picture. The child is as clear as the headstone itself. However, Mrs. Andrews claimed that there were no children at the cemetery that day. Her daughter, Joyce, who had died at the age of 17, did not resemble the child in the picture. When a paranormal investigator visited the graveyard in 1995, he discovered 2 graves nearby to Joyce Andrews, which could hold the answer to the photograph's mystery. The graves belonged to 2 infant girls, aged 18 months and 3 years. Could one of these girls be the ghostly figure of Mrs. Andrews' photo? It seems too good to be true. However, the photo is yet to be proven false. 2-year-old Greg Sheldon Maxwell loved talking to his old Nana. However, his great-grandmother had died years before. When this photograph was taken, nobody noticed anything unusual in the room. Only Greg seemed certain that someone or something was there. He called the white apparition his old Nana. Her visits continued for some time. In spite of never meeting his great-grandmother, young Greg instantly recognized her in an old photograph which he had never seen before. What makes this photograph all the more interesting is that Greg's old Nana had sworn she would return to make contact with her family after her death. Does this picture show that she was successful? The Amityville haunting is one of the most infamous cases of the paranormal. In 1974, the eldest child of Ronald and Louise Defoe, Ronald Defoe Jr., murdered his entire family in their sleep: his mother, father, and 4 siblings. At his trial, Defoe claimed he killed his family because he had heard voices plotting against him. Some speculate he was possessed by a demon. The subsequent owners of the house, the Lutz family, claimed to have been terrorized by a violent demonic presence. It was so intense that it eventually drove them from their home. This photograph was snapped in 1976 during a paranormal investigation commissioned by George Lutz. It appears to show a small boy in the doorway, who some claim resembles John Matthew Defoe, the youngest member of the Defoe family to be killed in the house 2 years previous. Although clearly a child, some have speculated that the figure is demonic. Whilst lots of criticism surround this story, no one can provide definitive evidence that this photo is a fake. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium is known as one of the most haunted places in America. In operation between 1910 and 1962, its main function was to treat those suffering with tuberculosis. Over 8,000 people died at Waverly Hills. During an investigation in 2005, this image of a spectral female figure was caught on camera. The ghostly woman is thought to be Mary Lee, a nurse who worked at the hospital. Her story ended in tragedy when she herself contracted the disease, whilst being pregnant with the child of one of the doctors. she was found dead, hanging from a light bulb wire in the infamous room 502. Tragically, her body lay undiscovered for a long time. Paranormal investigators still flock to the sanatorium. However, the most bizarre twist to this image, and others gathered over the years, is the intention to transform the sanatorium into a 4-star hotel. If you like this video, then don't forget to subscribe for more of the paranormal. And if you want to see more disturbing photos, then watch this video.
Then these uncanny, family-friendly gas masks were sure to keep everyone in 1940s America perpetually terrified. Concerned that children would find ordinary gas masks too scary, the government thoughtfully commissioned Disney to design a mask featuring Mickey Mouse